They opened their mouths to sing. Nothing came out. Not a whisper, not a note. The voice that made them chosen was gone. Once upon a time, in a village tucked between two rivers, lived a people who worshipped sound the way other villages worshipped beauty. In Amara-Oke, it was not your face or your farm that made you somebody, it was your voice. Every child born in Amara-Oke was tested before they could walk. The elders would clap a rhythm, and if the child could hum along, the mothers wept with joy, because a voice in that village was destiny. The best voices sang at weddings, at burials, at the planting season, at the harvest. But once every 3 years, on the night of the full river moon, the girl with the most beautiful voice in all the village was chosen to become the king's griot, the royal singer of Amara-Oke, betrothed to the crown prince's own brother, the keeper of songs. It was the highest honor a woman could receive, higher than wealth, higher than beauty, higher than even royal blood. And so the girls trained. Morning and night they hummed until their throats ached. They drank warm palm wine with ginger to open their chest. They chewed bitter cola to sharpen their tone. They avoided cold water, cold air, cold words, anything that could damage the one thing that mattered. The girl with the most beautiful voice in Amara-Oke was Adaeze. When Adaeze sang, the birds in the trees would stop to listen. Old men said her voice sounded like the river remembering a song it used to know. Children fell asleep faster when she hummed. Even the palm wine tapper, who cared for nothing but his gods, would stop mid-climb just to hear her from a distance. For 3 full river moons in a row, no voice had ever matched hers. The village had already started calling her Griot Adaeze before the ceremony even arrived. And Adaeze knew it. She wore her gift the way some women wear gold, visibly, proudly, and without apology. When the young women gathered to practice their skills, Adaeze would sing last just to remind them why she always would be chosen. "You can keep trying," she told them once, laughing gently, "but some of us were simply born for the palace." The only person who could stand toe-to-toe with Adaeze was Ngozi. Ngozi's voice was rich too, warm and low, where Adaeze's was bright and high. For 3 ceremonies, Ngozi had come second, always second, and she hated it with a quiet, burning patience. Every time Adaeze sang, Ngozi's jaw would tighten. Every time the villagers praised Adaeze, Ngozi smiled with her mouth, but not her eyes. There was one woman in Amara-Oke who wanted none of this. Her name was Nkechi, and she had, by the village's standards, an unremarkable voice, pleasant enough for a lullaby, useless for a palace. While the other girls trained their throats, Nkechi spent her mornings in the forest, gathering roots, learning which leaves eased fever and which barks stopped bleeding. The other women mocked her gently. "Nkechi, when the king asks you to sing for your husband, will you offer him bitter leaf soup instead?" they teased. She only laughed and kept walking. By 19, Nkechi had become the only healer within 3 villages, and though nobody in Amara-Oke said it aloud, more than one household quietly owed their lives to her hands. Then, 6 weeks before the full river moon, a stranger arrived. Her name was Amara-Oke, and she called herself a voice keeper, a woman who could awaken the fullest depth of anyone's voice through an old river ritual passed down from her grandmother. She built a small hut at the edge of the market, decorated with cowrie shells and dried hibiscus, and told anyone who would listen that she could take a good voice and make it unforgettable. The village women were suspicious at first. A voice was too sacred to hand to a stranger. But Amara-Oke did not push. She simply waited, humming to herself as she arranged her herbs, patient like a woman who already knew how this would end. Ngozi broke first. 3 ceremonies of losing to Adaeze had worn a hole in her pride wide enough to walk through. One evening, she slipped away to the voice keeper's hut. Amara-Oke welcomed her warmly, brewed a dark tea from river reeds and something she didn't recognize, and told her to drink it slowly while humming a single long note. When Ngozi opened her mouth to hum, the sound that came out startled even her. Deeper, fuller, resonant in a way it had never been. She sang an entire praise song right there in the hut, and by the time she finished, she was in tears. "This is a gift from the ancestors," Amara-Oke told her softly. "Come back before the moon. I will finish the awakening." Ngozi returned to the village that night and sang in the square just to hear the gasps. Word spread fast. Within a week, the queue outside the voice keeper's hut stretched past the market stalls. Even Adaize, who told herself she didn't need it, went one quiet evening, telling no one, just to be certain. Only Nkechi never went. She had roots to dig and fevers to treat, and besides, whatever was happening at that hut, something about the voice keeper's stillness unsettled her in a way she couldn't explain. 2 nights before the full river moon, Ngozi woke up and opened her mouth to hum her morning scale the way she always did. Nothing came out. Not a note, not a breath of sound. She tried again, harder, until her throat hurt. Silence. She ran to a mirror of still water and stared at her own reflection, mouth open, screaming without sound leaving her lips. By sunrise, it wasn't just Ngozi. One by one, every girl who had visited the voice keeper's hut woke to the same horror. Adaize tried to call for her mother and produced nothing but air. The market square, usually alive with morning greetings and humming, had gone eerily, completely silent. They ran to the voice keeper's hut together, a crowd of frightened, voiceless women pounding on her door, but the hut was empty. Cowrie shells scattered on the floor, the herbs gone. Amara-Oke had vanished. The full river moon arrived in 2 days, and the palace could not be told the truth, not yet. The girls wrapped cloth loosely around their throats, telling anyone who asked that it was tradition, a mark of respect for the ceremony. The king, distracted with preparations for guests arriving from 3 neighboring villages, didn't question it. On the night of the ceremony, the girls stood before the king, the crown prince, and the keeper of songs, cloths at their throats, each one silently praying her voice had somehow returned overnight. The king, beaming with pride at the tradition his village was famous for, asked the first girl to remove her cloth and sing. She opened her mouth. Nothing. One after another, the girls tried, and one after another, silence answered. The guests from neighboring villages exchanged confused glances. The king's smile collapsed into horror. He had bragged for weeks about the legendary voices of Amara-Oke, and now, in front of every visiting dignitary, his village's greatest treasure had turned to dust in real time. Adaize, sobbing without sound, was pulled aside by the king after the guests were dismissed in disgrace. Unable to speak, she scratched the truth in the dirt with a trembling finger. A woman named Amara-Oke. She took our voices. She is gone. The king's face went pale. He remembered that name. 19 years ago, a baby girl had been born in Amara-Oke, completely silent. She made no sound, not even a cry, for the first 3 years of her life. The elders of that time declared it a bad omen in a village that worshipped voice above all else. Her own family, ashamed and afraid, left her at the edge of the forest one night and never spoke of her again. The village moved on. Everyone forgot. Everyone except the woman that silent child had grown into. The king sent riders through the night to every neighboring village, but Amara-Oke was never found. She had taken with her the one thing Amara-Oke valued above all else, and left behind a lesson far louder than any voice ever could. It took 3 full moons for the stolen voices to slowly return, thin and shaky at first, then gradually to their old strength, all except Ngozi's and Adaize's, which came back changed, flatter, missing whatever spark that made them extraordinary. They never fully explained why. Some things, once given away for a promise too good to be true, don't come all the way back. And the full river moon ceremony still had to be honored, Tradition demanded a griot to be chosen from among the village's voices, and by the time the moon returned, there was only one woman in Amara-Oke whose voice had never once been wavered, never been silenced, never been touched by promises from strangers. Nkechi, the healer who never chased the palace at all. She became the king's griot not because her voice was the most beautiful, but because it was the only one that had never been for sale. And in time, the villagers agreed, a voice she never surrendered was worth more than any voice awakened by a stranger's hand. As we say in Igbo land, Onyeji heo na agarai heo cho. He who is content with what he has does not lose what he was chasing.